Last video I made in Luna, the price was somewhere in the 20s, and then I didn't record for a week because I was on vacation, and the price went up all the way to 34. And now I'm back from said vacation, and we're actually looking at kind of a shitty market here in the near term. We see Luna hanging out at 26. We see Bitcoin's hanging out at 46,800 at the moment. It went as high as 50,000 on the weekend, Sunday I think it was, and now it's Wednesday. It's retraced a bit, so people are panicking. Some people are panicking. Actually, no, there's not too much panic, but I guess you could say there's some indecision in the market. But while that's happening, there's actually a lot of cool things going on. For example, if you watch this video today, tomorrow Starterra is doing their token generation event, I guess. They're going to launch on terraswap.io. Time of launch is undetermined, but they're going to launch at 14 cents a token, and then it's going to be a free-for-all. So it's not a fixed price sale. It's whoever buys first gets it at 14 cents, and by the time the first $100,000 is spent, the price is going to start going up and fast. I'm not sure how many tokens are going to be available at the initial TerraSwap, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to be trying to buy. I fully expect that TerraSwap Starterra is going to be it's like an IDO gamepad. They're calling it a gamified NFT play to earn launchpad for IDOs, but we'll see how gamified it really is. We'll see how much NFT stuff they got going on. What we do know is that projects are going to launch on Starterra, and if you own the Starterra token, then you have more chances of being eligible to win. So I'll be going in there. The other thing that just launched today actually is Apollo. Apollo is another Terra protocol, and this is like an auto-compounding vault. So they just launched their alpha today, actually. I just got the news a few minutes ago, so I started looking around at what's going on. They're starting with the mirror pools. So they have like Mirror LP, auto compounder, and if you have other stocks like GameStop, Tesla, you can auto compound here as well. And just to get a sense of what we're dealing with, the Mir UST auto compounder, it gives you an APY of 63% here. And when you compare that to just doing it directly through Mirror, the APY there is like 50% or APR, whatever it is. So you do get a little bit of benefit from using Apollo. Now, when it comes to using something like Apollo, you also get Apollo tokens in these vaults. The team has said that they don't yet have those tokens launched. So for now, this is just alpha. This is for people in their Discord who are granted a certain OG status. You get that status for like interacting with the community, being in the Discord, and just kind of talking to the founders. And so this is a sneak peek. And the fact that they're this far means, things are going to get pretty interesting for Apollo. So I don't know, much about what they're doing. I do know that they'll have these kind of vaults, and then they'll have like a super vault where it's like the community decides like what to do with that vault, and stakers get rewards from being involved in this thing, and it's going to be interesting. And I'm going to make some videos about it for sure when I know what I'm talking about. But for now, I don't really. So let's check out price action here in the Luna ecosystem. Since Luna, let's switch to log scale. Let's turn off auto. So since this is August 15th down here, it was at $16. And from August 15th to August 24th, just 9 days, it went all the way to $34. So when something effectively more than doubles in a handful of days, you can expect some sort of retraces. So that's what's going to happen. And there's lots of euphoria in the market. And I just think this is long overdue. I think it's totally fine. I think I'm not panicking. And what I've noticed with Luna is I've drawn a few boxes here. And these boxes, let's get this thing looking good here. You notice Luna is either going, there used to be, like back last year and years before that, it used to just be like a flatline token. But since it got popular, it's either going parabolic up, parabolic down, or in the tight channel. And when it's in that tight channel, it usually comes back to that channel, and except for this Black Swan event, which kind of destroyed everything, nuked everything. But I will be looking for buy zones. Like I'm kind of expecting this thing to stretch out a little bit. Like maybe this channel gets a little wider, and then maybe there's some like scam wicks that come down from this channel. I'm kind of hoping that we see, kind of hoping we see some support in the mid to low 20s. I think low 20s is a really good buy zone for Luna. One thing I did do is when I did get a sense that it was way overextended, I've got a pretty big Luna portfolio. I'm not like a super whale, but I have a decent amount. And when I saw it get into the 30s, to me it started feeling a little overextended. And I do follow Willy Woo and some of those on-chain guys. So my own TA was telling me that most charts don't look parabolic, super parabolic forever. The on-chain guys were noting some sell pressure, like short-term sell pressure. I was deep in profits because I had been averaging in from like down in the 5s, right? So I took a quarter of my entire Luna position. I took some profits at the $30 mark. And my expectation is that I'll be buying in, averaging in more as we get below 25 and especially closer to 20. So that's my plan. And if I execute that plan appropriately, I will essentially have grown that bag. I might, if I play it perfectly well, I've outgrown it by 50%. And if I get it kind of right, I'll grown it by 30%. And I'm expecting Luna to do really well this cycle. But I thought it would be an interesting opportunity to play kind of the long-term swings here. Now for me, there were a lot of people who were looking at 16, 20 as being overextended. But I've seen what Luna can do in little parabolic spurts. So one of Luna's biggest moves here was from 86 cents all the way to $8. So this thing went totally nuclear. And then it finally took, just for 1 month, it took a little break. So all the way from $8.62, it went down to about $5. So let's say $9 here, $5 down here. If I'm able to grab a swing like that in this next channel, I think that would be very, very interesting. And if I'm not able to catch that swing, well, what we do have coming up, if we look at SJ Park's Twitter here, is he made a comment about all the upcoming Luna projects that are coming after Columbus 5. And there's about 7 of them that are coming. And I'm excited about all of them. I want to ape into all of them. Now I have a decent amount of money to actually do it. So that'll be interesting. What else am I doing with the Luna ecosystem? So one thing I just did is, while we wait to see what direction Luna goes in, I thought it would be an interesting opportunity to do some liquidity providing on mine. So one of the things that I thought would be interesting is mine has this on Spectrum protocol. By the way, this is an unaudited platform. I'm kind of being an ape here, and I don't necessarily suggest that everyone be an ape like me. But I have a decent position of mine in Spectrum, and what it's doing is it's making 400% APY. That's the number it gives. So I took a part of what I made with Luna, like the USD portion. I put a portion of it into Anchor Earn, okay, and I took another portion of it, and I unstaked some of my mine, and I put it into liquidity providing for Spectrum. And I'm not going to leave this here for long. I'm thinking maybe max like a couple weeks, but the amount I'm putting in is actually sizable, so I think it'll be an interesting ROI. And in the meantime, my thesis is if we do have a pullback here for the next, like, I don't know, a couple weeks. Novogratz, I saw him doing an article. I saw him on CNBC, I think. And what he anticipated was that we kind of consolidate for the rest of Q3, like through the end of August. Into September, there's consolidation. And then he thinks there's going to be a big Q4. So my plan was kind of to do liquidity providing for mine on the way down, and I would anticipate that mine price action is kind of flat to decreasing. And while that's happening, due to the nature of providing liquidity, my mine stash will be going higher because people are basically, they're dumping their mine into the LP. They're taking out UST, so they're giving me more mine while they're taking away my UST. So for me, it's kind of like a form of dollar cost averaging. While I'm doing that, I'm making 400% through auto compounding of the mine LP while also getting Spectrum tokens. And those Spectrum tokens, I will be farming and dumping them for some of these more interesting dollar cost average opportunities. And that'll be my plan if there's a pullback. And if there's not, I'm still heavily exposed to pretty much what I want to be exposed to. One of the bets that I just made today was into lota. I just bought a little bit of lota, not a big position at all. But the reason why I did that is I'm looking at their chart, and to me their chart is looking rather interesting. I see kind of a floor here that's been touched multiple times. It really hasn't been pushed through to the bottom that much, and I'm seeing kind of a consolidation here. So this looks like a bull flag to me, and if there's any good news that comes out here in the next couple days to few weeks, I think we can see a decent ROI coming from the lota token. Not financial advice, just what I'm doing. Let's look at some of my recent tweets, see if there's anything interesting going on. One of the awesome things is even though Luna has been burning, even though Luna has been going down, the demand for UST has been going up. And that's the whole thesis of why Luna is so powerful, because in a bull market, everything goes up. UST demand goes up. Luna speculation goes up. Luna stakers go up. Everything goes up. People buy it up, and good things happen. And in a bear market, the thesis was that the UST demand goes up, demand for Luna goes down, but because you need to have Luna in order to create more UST, the supply of Luna continues to dwindle. And therefore, even though there's more sell pressure on the Luna token in bear markets, it's going to be balanced by whales sucking up the supply of Luna and destroying it and burning it for UST. So we're waiting for that to play out. It hasn't played out yet because UST is a new stable coin. It's an algorithmic stable coin. People don't necessarily trust it yet. Big money still trusts USDC. They still trust Tether. They still trust like these collateral-backed stable coins. But the more time in the market that Terra has, the more people will start to trust this token even in a bear market. And the more use cases that Terra builds for UST, the more trustworthy it becomes. So even though there's a market correction going on, we have 370,000 Luna tokens burned today. We have UST getting minted today. Demand for UST continues to go up. This is what you want to see in an asset. This is what makes Luna very, very impressive as an investment. What else did I tweet about? I tweeted about the price channels. I kind of talked about this already, but yeah, if this box expands a little bit, if the range expands, that's fine. And then if it starts falling out of that range, that's fine. Or if it just rockets up, wouldn't mind that either. Wouldn't mind that either. Star Terra is going to be an interesting project for me. They had several ways to get into their IDO, their whitelist. So I was able to participate in a few of them. Like I got into the whitelist public sale. I am going to get Luna Staker airdrops. I'm going to get B Luna Staker airdrops. These are both things that you can expect if you're staking Luna or if you're borrowing against your B Luna. And then tomorrow is a Terra Swap launch, which I'm hoping to get a piece of. We'll see. We'll see. Anchor Protocol is continuing to perform really well. I think Anchor is being super, super impressive lately. Just check out their stats. 3 billion total value locked. The total borrow has gone down. I think they peaked at around like 800 million. Yeah, 817 million. Right now it's at 700 million. And one thing you notice is the total deposits actually goes down too. Here the total deposits was 1.3 billion and now it's down to 1.2 billion. Why does that happen? Because a lot of people just borrow and then deposit it into Anchor Earn. So in order to repay their borrow, they have to cash out at Anchor Earn and then repay their borrow. So that's kind of how that works. Looking at Ethereum, you can see now we're up to 75,000 Ethereum. So we're getting closer to 100,000. And we're over 200 million Ethereum now. That's locked up, like $200 million worth of Ethereum locked up in Anchor. Staking rewards going directly to Anchor Earn depositors, which is very cool. Yeah, what else am I looking out for? We talked about, in my last video, we talked about the Terra World launch. You know, the disaster of the launch is a few days ago now, so I'm not going to rehash it much here, except know that the protocol launch, the Pylon swap launched Terra World tokens. The way it was supposed to be is that it was a minimum of $2,000 to purchase the token, and you could purchase up to $10,000. There was a typo during the creation of these parameters, and the new rules became $20,000 is the minimum and $100,000 is the maximum. So a few people actually aped in and did that, but most people couldn't, although they kept trying even though they couldn't. So what ended up happening is that you had hundreds, maybe thousands of people who were making a transaction, having it said failed, and then redoing it over and over and over again. And that led to some insane network congestion across the entire, not just Pylon, but like Anchor had issues. The entire Terra blockchain had issues like during that time of just like mass everyone submitting transactions. So it definitely revealed some kinks in the armor for Pylon and Terra as a whole. But the narrative here is that when Columbus 5 comes out in... what's it going to be? When Columbus 5 comes out in 12 days, my gosh, a little less than 13 days, block size is going to be bigger, transaction speeds are going to be faster, and Pylon is saying that by then that's going to alleviate a lot of the issues that were experienced. And in the meantime, they're going to work on kind of cleaning up what they're cleaning up, and they're going to do a relaunch of Terra World on September 15th. Today's the 26th, so we've got close to 3 weeks. And in between then, not much is going to go on for Pylon. The Pylon price is holding up pretty well, actually. The entire market's dumping, so there's no reason why the mine tokens shouldn't be dumping as well. But when the great dip happened, Coin Hall, Pylon took a giant dump. So if we look at the 1 day, this is not a scam wick. This wick actually happened. So I was ready to ape into Terra World, and the day of, it went all the way up to 28 cents. And as the launch failed, the price of the token tanked all the way down to $13. Me being as opportunistic investor, I kind of caught the bottom of this swing here. I jumped in to a decent position around $13. I mean, I never ever catch a falling knife. I never ever catch bottoms, but literally from the top to the bottom, it was down like 50%. And I figured it wouldn't go much lower than that. So I just held it for like a few hours, sold it for profit, and put it right back into Anchor Earn. I took a little bit of that and put it into Lota, see how that one performs. Star Terra is coming out tomorrow, and I would love to Giga Ape, but I'm not going to Ape because you have to be careful of slippage when it comes to using TerraSwap. If you put in like $100,000 into TerraSwap for this Star Terra launch, you might lose 50% of your investment. Like you get 50% less than you expect because slippage is real. There's no slippage controls in TerraSwap, so you have to be very, very careful. But I'll ape a little bit. I get the sense that it'll do what Altered did. It'll kind of like skyrocket up and then top off somewhere and then take a little breather and then come back again for another skyrocket. And, what if they're launching at 14 cents? Is it crazy to think the price goes up to a few bucks? $5 even? No, I don't think so. It settles down to like $2 or something like that. I could see that happening. Let's see. I'll be there tomorrow.